not great, to be honest. Today, the symptoms are fairly kind of troublesome today, but I'm just going to do my best to get through this now without getting sick.
You're grand. Tell our listeners what's wrong with you.
I have a condition called endometriosis, and it's a systemic inflammatory condition. And so it causes debilitating pain, it can cause infertility, it can cause a whole wide range of symptoms. And like that, I never know how I'm going to be from one day to the next. It's quite variant.
When did it start?
It started when I was 8 years old. I had 3 hospitalizations between 8 and 11, and I didn't get my first period until I was 11. So I'm quite unusual in the fact that I presented prior to the first periods.
And have you had pain since you were 8 years of age?
Yeah. So the symptoms since then would have been like fainting, it would have been pelvic pain, it would have been like severe vomiting. I still, to this day, I'm very, very nauseous. It's like I've had years of morning sickness.
And what has it done to you besides physically? What about your mental health? How does that put a strain on it?
Oh, my mental health was in the bin for many, many, many years, because you're constantly trying to seek support and to seek help, I suppose, to manage a life of pain. And you're kind of constantly being met with, oh, well, maybe it's all in your head, or maybe it's not really that bad, and maybe you're wearing your depression. Some women are told that it's a physical manifestation of their mental health. So it's horrendous, like.
And are you married now at this stage, or what is your situation?
No, I'm single. I'm single.
Do you want to have children?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, of course. One day. I don't want to. I have another condition called adenomyosis, and the only cure for that one is hysterectomy. And I was in Romania 3 years ago for a surgery for endometriosis, and that's when they diagnosed me with adeno. And I was grateful that I could take another step prior to having a hysterectomy to alleviate the pain for this, because I do want to have my own kids one day. I want to be able to try at least.
So really a double whammy for you, really, isn't it?
It is, and like it's very difficult in terms of, I suppose, your self-worth. We place a lot of emphasis on the reproductive system, and you know, women do feel quite inadequate when it turns out they do have issues and they can't. So I suppose my main focus is to build my self-esteem and to let myself know that if it's a case that it doesn't happen, it doesn't make me less of a person.
Of course not. Of course not. And are you in a relationship?
No, and I haven't been for a couple of years. I'm far too busy with my activism and advocacy and college and caring for my parents and working. I haven't got very much time, to be honest, to put into that.
And what is the level of support for people with your condition?
Well, the women I've spoken to would say it's non-existent, to be honest, because like there's no mental health support. There's, I think, a minimum of at least 2 to 3 years waiting lists to see gynae. Like there's no emphasis on supporting us, and there's no prioritizing, you know, the quality of life, or the amount of women that I've spoken to who've tried to access disability allowance and have been turned down every single time. And I personally don't understand that. When it is a chronic condition, it affects every single aspect of a person's life. And I honestly don't know how mothers do it. People who already have kids, who are in that debilitating pain 24/7. I don't know how they're able to be a mother and not have adequate financial or mental health or physical health supports.
How many women roughly are suffering from or have the condition endometriosis in Ireland?
In Ireland, the statistic is 1 in 10. In America, I think it's become 1 in 9. So I do think it's going to get more as we do more research. There's not enough research available at the moment, you see.
And if the research was done, do you think that the those in power, will say, our officials, would pay more attention to it?
Well, to be fair, they've been saying they're paying attention to it and throwing money at it and stuff, and claiming that they have a new centre of excellence, but they're claiming they have a multidisciplinary centre, but it's not a multidisciplinary surgical setting. So if your disease presents on more than one organ, you need a multidisciplinary team to surgically effectively remove that disease from every organ. And we don't have that here. That's why I'm going to Romania again. I'll be there in 2 weeks for another surgery to remove it from my diaphragm, because I have nobody in Ireland to remove it from the diaphragm. So we need, the focus for government officials needs to be on educating kids in schools, especially young girls, and also like emphasising the speciality training needed for endometriosis.
The condition has been so painful and so the effects it's having on you, that you turned to somebody and, you know, cannabis, you started talking about.
Actually, it happened in the reverse. I was using cannabis before I knew it was actually medically impacting me, like in a positive way. I just assumed everybody felt better when they consumed cannabis.
So were you smoking cannabis, not thinking that this was going to improve your condition? Were you just, can I ask you, were you just a cannabis smoker?
A recreational user, I would have considered myself. I had no idea the medical benefits it was having. I was unaware of that until my mid-20s, and that's when I started making the connection. So I just assumed and everybody felt better when they consumed cannabis. I had no idea the specific.
Okay, and what age were you when you started smoking cannabis?
I was 15.
15. And how soon after that did you notice an improvement in your condition?
I suppose it wasn't a condition that I noticed it in as such. It was my everyday general well-being. And then it was as I said, into my mid-20s. Sure, I didn't even get diagnosed with my condition until I was 21. So I was unaware that I had something going on even in me. Even though I was in pain and stuff, I was told this is normal. I had normalised that pain, that heavy periods and stuff. And like I said, then it was my mid-20s when I had the diagnosis and I started looking into research. That's when I stumbled across the endocannabinoid system and how every person has one, and how different strains of the cannabis plant interacts with different endocannabinoid systems and alleviate symptoms in different ways for different people. And that's when the door opened for me in terms of like proper medical research that I looked into. Then I realised there was women all over the world getting prescribed cannabis for endometriosis, and yet I was being criminalised in Ireland.
But today, you appear to be the first person in Ireland to receive a ministerial licence for cannabis. It's being prescribed. I mean, are you going down now to your local pharmacy to say, give me a 10 spot of cannabis? And I say that, I don't mean to be flippant on it, but you know yourself. Are you going to the chemist and saying, I want some draw, as it were?
No. It's far from that. I wish it was that easy, to be honest. I wish it was a social club setting that I could go into. But no, the thing is, so my pain consultant had to apply for a ministerial licence to prescribe cannabis to me. So he had to do that via the Minister for Health. Once they sign off on the application, he gets the licence, he writes out the prescription, he sends it to me. I upload the prescription to the Transvaal pharmacy in the Netherlands. They process it on their end, send me the invoice. Once I clear the invoice, they're happy to release the product. And then the government sends somebody to collect it from the Netherlands, bring it back to Ireland and deliver it to my hall door.
So they can't actually post it in a parcel to Aimee Brown in Tipperary?
Well, they're posting it, but via a DPD driver or a DHL driver.
And the quantity of cannabis you're smoking every week, I mean, give us an example.
Well, I can only afford, I suppose, €100 a week. So that gets me only 7 grams on the unregulated market. But then I suppose I have the flower, but then I also use THC capsules, I use vapes, and I use edibles, because it depends on the symptoms that arise on the day. Sometimes the hit of the vape or the joint is just not effective enough, and I do need an edible.
Aimee, and this might sound strange, but are you becoming hooked on cannabis? I mean, are you going, and somebody say she's going around stoned out of her head?
Well, it's been 15 years now at this stage, and nobody has had any issues with my work life, my education. You know, like, there's even studies out there to support that cannabis helps with psychosocial development. Do you know, and some people may say I have a dependency on it, and I do, because if I don't consume it, I'm going to be in debilitating chronic pain. So would you say that to somebody with paracetamol?
No,
or
I was just going to say that.
I mean,
so if somebody is on antidepressants or paracetamol, or they're on such a drug for a condition, you're just the same as them. You just need this.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, when I was on the likes of amitriptyline and all those other kind of awful drugs, particularly the opioids as well, I was a zombie. I wasn't present in my life. I wasn't able to show up for my parents who I look after. Mm-hmm. Like I was completely isolated from reality when I was on all those horrible medications. So at least now I'm present, and like that, it's been 15 years and I'm fine. The world is not falling in around me. Like, it's been my only consistency, especially through the dark kind of depressions when I have been very suicidal. Cannabis has been the only thing that really got me through.
And would you be afraid in any way that cannabis might be a gateway drug for something else for you, that it mightn't be strong enough after a while and that you might start looking for an ecstasy tablet or a line of coke?
Like I said, it's been 15 years, and if I haven't yet, I don't like this gateway theory. I feel like everybody has free agency, and I know people who started out on ecstasy who has never had a cannabis in their life. So that gateway theory to me personally is nonsense, because I'm living proof that it can be the case and it cannot be the case. So I don't think we should apply that theory to everyone.
What's your message now to the policy makers, the Minister for Health, in relation to other women with your condition? I mean, is it licence for one, licence for all?
Well, to me, it should be. I don't understand this magical barrier where we can criminalise one person and allow it for another person. That to me makes no sense. The fact that I was diagnosed when I was 21 and it took me 9 years to get recognised legally for cannabis, that meant I was a patient running the risk of a jail sentence for all those years, even though I had a diagnosis. So I think my call on policymakers is definitely to support Gino Kenny's decriminalisation bill, because that's definitely going to support patients in the long run. And I also believe that we need to widen the MCAP programme, include chronic pain, stop putting the onus on patients to jump through these 1,000 hoops, and respect our right to bodily autonomy. If we choose to use cannabis and that's our decision, then let us be. We're the ones that have to live in the shoes of chronic pain every day. We should be the ones to choose how we medicate. How
come you've been the one to get the licence and Mary next door to you hasn't?
Apparently, I'm tenacious and I'm determined, and I won't stop. I won't take no for an answer. I won't shy away from authority, and I won't fear my own authenticity. There's so many women out there terrified to even admit that they consume cannabis, whereas I was never bound by that fear. I don't know what's in me, but I think maybe I'm just a rebel. I don't know.
Are you in a good place now, pain-wise, mental health-wise?
Mental health-wise, I'm in the best place I could ever be in, because I've been taken seriously, and it's really empowering to be validated, I suppose, in that way. But physically, I'm not doing very well, and I'm fundraising to go back to Romania. I'll be there in 2 weeks' time to have another surgery, so I'll be gone for Christmas. But sacrificing one Christmas for hopefully a future of much more manageable pain is going to be worth it.
All right. Listen, Aimee, thank you so much for taking the call. I know you're a Dublin woman living in Tipperary, but I know that by talking this morning, I suppose you've helped a lot of ladies, women with endometriosis. And if they want to get in touch with you, is there a helpline or a website or anything like that?
I operate mainly from my Instagram in terms of advocacy and one-to-one support. So it's endo with Aimee _blog, and Aimee is AIMEE.
Okay, give us that again, Aimee.
It's endo, ENDO with WITH, Aimee, AIMEE, and then _blog, BLOG.
All right. Aimee, thank you very much for taking the call.
Thanks a million.
Thank you.
Simon Murdoch and the best music mix.
Weekdays from midday on Cork's 96 FM.
What have us Irish